Throughout his career, Marilyn Manson has adopted a multitude of outrageous looks on stage, from slightly creepy to downright horrifying, but it's another story offstage. In fact, the Sweet Dreams singer has embraced a completely different look in recent years. If folks came across Marilyn Manson for the first time nowadays, they might be forgiven for thinking that he's always looked like someone's glammed-up aunt. In the 90s and early 2000s, however, Manson made a very different first impression. Some folks thought he was horrifying, with his macabre aesthetic, creepy contact lenses, and craggy voice. Others thought he was laughable. Of course, there's always been a man under the mask and makeup of Marilyn Manson, and that man's name is Brian Warner. Early childhood photos of Warner show a cute, bright-eyed kid with a bowl haircut. Meanwhile, teenage photos show a young man with a mullet who wouldn't have looked out of place in a part-time job at Radio Shack. Nowadays, Manson looks like anyone you might pass in the street and not notice, at least without the makeup, outfits, and jewelry. That being said, Manson is also one of those people who looks completely different depending on his hairstyle, clothes, and pose. But no matter what, you'd have difficulty connecting Brian Warner the person to Marilyn Manson the character if you saw him in real life. In a 2015 interview with The Fader, Manson revealed that his makeup-heavy public persona began in early childhood. Manson said that his mother used to put lipstick on him and dress him up. He revealed to the outlet, "I have one weird picture of me as a toddler with an unlit cigarette in my mouth, wearing her blonde wig and a diaper, sitting on the couch. Wonder how I ended up here." Makeup, he explains, was one part lifelong fascination with the visual arts and one part hiding something. He experimented with makeup on his own as a teenager, particularly in unconventional ways like putting it on his teeth. Manson didn't have any insecurities about his appearance, he says, but rather wanted to use makeup to look worse. At an early performance, someone threw a beer bottle at Manson and it cut his chest. He just smeared the blood on his lips and rolled with it. Later on, he took influence from makeup used by morticians, particularly in instances of asymmetry where one body part had suffered some injury or deformity. Manson's preoccupations worked not only to boost his early career, but obscure his features. Even by the time we get to his infamous MTV Music Video Awards performance in 1997, 2 years after his cover version of Sweet Dreams became a hit, no one really knew what he looked like. Of course, by now there are plenty of articles and photos of a makeupless Manson milling around online. There's also footage of him in places like LAX and in court. He's also been makeupless in movies like 2007's Rise, Bloodhunter, and on TV in shows like Sons of Anarchy and Eastbound and Down. Manson's appearance on Eastbound and Down, which starred Danny McBride as an obnoxious former MLB pitcher, might be the most unsettling. Manson not only doesn't have his makeup on, but his hair is brown and wavy. He's almost completely unrecognizable, even if you watch knowing that it's him.
Welcome to Jelly Beans. Can I take your trash?
To compound matters, Manson's gone through many aesthetic phases over his 11 studio albums. Of course, there's the goth industrial look he popularized in the mid-90s, complete with a lack of eyebrows. By the late 90s, Manson played around with both androgyny and feminine aesthetics before he dipped his face in glam. Then, beginning with the release of his 2015 album Pale Emperor, Manson's look entailed a sort of pared-down business chic thing with a choppy haircut. That's roughly where he's stayed since then. These days, Manson might be harder to spot in a crowd thanks to less makeup and a less shocking appearance, but only by a bit.